able to hear me, but now I'm sure you can hear me. My mic was off. Welcome to the session. We have 6 senior artists, photographers who are there to join us, and soon you will see them on your screen. Okay, can I get some thumbs up, or can someone tell me that if you are able to see her and hear me? Okay, okay, awesome. I'm just waiting for others to appear. नहीं नहीं Okay, they all are coming. Give us few moments. Sorry. There is, a lot of people are trying to join in. Okay. Hi, Aditya.
Hello, Payal.
Hi. So everyone is pressing go live. Hi, Samar. Hi, Prabir. Hi, Dinesh. Hi, Akash. Wow. Now we have the fun panel. Bhavna will join us very shortly. So this session is powered by the camera, Museo Camera. Aditya is the moderator. So I think thankfully I have to say less. I'll be here to do all the tech support. So I'm handing over the stage to Aditya, and best of luck. I hope everyone enjoys this session. You can tell all your friends that this session is also going live on Mojato's Facebook page. People can see it there as well. Aditya, over to you.
Thank you, Payal. Thank you, Majato. Absolute pleasure being on this. And very grateful to a lot of people who agreed to be here. So I want to start from Video Camera. See, photography was announced to the world on August 19th, 1839. The year announced, I have seized light, captured its light. Camera is one of the key inventions of the 19th century which have transformed the way we look at the world. Photography is one of the few art forms which has a very deep link with the technology and evolution of the photography part. Upon seeing the first daguerreotype image around 1840, French painter Paul Delaroche declared, "From today, painting is dead." Painting did not die that day, but photography was born, disrupting the world and its social order through the creation of new ways to see, understand, and explore. The work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction. In 1935, by Walter Benjamin, an essay on cultural criticism, he raised the point of missing uniqueness from the mechanically produced copies, something which continues to haunt this genre and the photographers and the collectors. Hello, friends. During the last few months, there have been hundreds of webinars and Zoom talks on photography, but the issue of art and photography has not been dwelled upon. So, Museo Camera is proud to present, in collaboration with Mujato, a very special session on art and photography with some of the leading artists in the country and with special take on art and photography by gallerist Bhavna Kakar. These practitioners have spent decades in the field of advertising and commercial photography. They have shifted their gaze on personal work, satisfying themselves by creating art for their inner satisfaction. While some of them find art in everyday objects and street life, some of them create art by doing digital interventions. They have all reached a stage in life where meaning and goals have changed, and they are creating images to please their souls. These gentlemen don't need any introduction. I'm going to be inviting Dinesh Khanna to start with, and followed by Akash, Samar, Prabir, and Rafique, followed by Bhavna. Over to you, Dinesh.
Dinesh, unmute
Oh
yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I did. Yeah.
And we all
No,
have to, keep
Hello?
mute. I
I
will
thought
keep
you would do
ourselves
everything.
mute.
Hello?
Hi, Bhavna. We are.
Hello?
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
We can see you.
Hi.
Okay, I've got 5 minutes, so let me start off. So, Payal, if you can just put on my presentation,
Yeah,
I would
sure.
just like to
Sure.
talk everyone through that.
Uh,
Thank you. So, is that on now?
Rafique is waiting backstage. No, is waiting. Can I am I audible?
Bhavna, you are, but I can't see Rafiq, huh, so I don't know. All right, so here we go.
No, he's
For me, art and photography, I don't know if there should be an and in between or there should be an or in between. Uh, but over the years, I've seen or felt that there are these four things which really affect the art of photography. One is the technique, one is the expression, then is the validation, and then the commerce. Uh, and interestingly, one's noticed that each of these over time change and evolve and become something else. Just to give you an example, as far as technique is concerned, there's no doubt that technique will always be important for
सही
an
है ना?
artist to be really revered, whether it is in
हेलो.
photography, whether it's in dance, whether it's in music. Uh, but that has changed because photography, for instance, is one of the most technology-led art forms or media. And it's changed constantly over the years, over the decades, and over the centuries. Uh, Expression, of course, is the single most important thing for any art form to be considered an art. Uh, it's for the artist to be using a particular craft or a medium to express themselves about a particular subject, on basis of which then their work would be considered to be art as opposed to just a craft. Uh, when you talk about art, and this is something which I find a bit controversial, it's about validation also. So, who validates a work of a particular artist or a photographer to be considered an art? Should it be the gallery? Should it be a museum? Or in today's world, for instance, it's thousands of people on social media who see the work. So, again, what I was talking about earlier, I think things keep changing and keep evolving. The last, of course, is that is art really seen as important only if it has a buyer, if it can be sold? And can it be sold at higher prices? Will that make it better art? So these are the questions which I would want to start kick off with. And Payal, if you could just go on to the next slide, I just want to talk you through a few of my photographs. In a way, my journey of how I have dealt with photography. And it's for you to judge if, this should be considered to be art or not. Uh, my journey as a photographer, of course, started about 40 years ago, but seriously, as a means of expression and profession, 30 years ago. And it was in the 90s when I used to travel a great deal on my personal time to actually explore India and do a lot of street photography.
What the man was. Okay.
And I had my first solo exhibition in 1996, which was curated by Prabir Dasgupta. And this particular picture actually was on the poster that time. Payal, if you can go on to the next one, please. So I'm just going to share first with you some 3 or 4 photographs, which I think are today called pictorialist, whatever that means, which is simple photography, straightforward photography, and I'm recording scenes the way I see and the way I would want to engage with them on the street. Next, please. These are photographs which have actually appeared in the 2 books I'd done in the early 2000s, one called Bazaar and the other called Living Faith. So these images were both in my solo exhibition and were also part of the books I got with Penguin had published. Next, please. Next. So based on the kind of work I was doing in my personal time, which was a lot of travel and which had a lot of color and Indian life, uh, I was occasionally commissioned to do advertising work, which also brought in that kind of India into the advertising area. And I did these couple of campaigns for the Incredible India campaign. And the reason I'm showing you this picture that this is shot for the Incredible India campaign, but subsequently has also sold as a print a number of times. So, that's where the profession and the personal have, for me, they've mixed up. Next, please. I do a lot of personal work, have done that right through, and which is really, I won't even say it's personal work in that sense. It's a compulsion to shoot. It's a compulsion to use photography as a means of expression. And about 10 to 12 years ago, I was doing a pictorial photo column for a magazine called First City. And this was called Double Take, and it was about the ironies and contradictions of the life in India. And I actually just thought of these as, normal photographs and my engagement with India as a country which had a lot of contradictions. And interestingly, I was approached by a lady called Catherine Myers, who is a very senior art professor in the US. And she said that she'd like to interview me. I said, about what? She said, about, your work. I said, sure. Uh, but what I found interesting is that she was on a Fulbright scholarship and she was doing an extended series of interviews with Indian artists. And she had approached me because she said, as far as I'm concerned, you're a photo artist. I said, that's news to me. I never thought of myself as an artist. I always thought of myself as a photographer. So she said, in Double Take, are you using these pictures to express your concerns and express your views about India? I said, yes, I am. So she said, if this your expression, isn't that art? I said, well, if you see it that way, that's the first time someone told me that. So maybe it is. So that's how my understanding of art and photography as an art, or the fact that I could be producing art, actually happened much later after I'd had some exhibitions, after I published a couple of books. And it was this very long discussion I had with Catherine, which made me understand why certain kind of photography would be considered to be really art. Next, please. So I'm just sharing 2, 3 of those photographs, really. Carry on. All right. So now I kind of jump almost a decade and come to about 5 or 6 years ago. And I am, like I said, a compulsive photographer, and I shoot a lot with my phone over the last 5 or 7 years. And this is a series I've been doing, which I call Kissa Kursi Ka. And for me, it's actually more of a political statement about the state of the common man in India, where the chair really personifies the condition of the person or the common man in India, as opposed to the way the rulers, get onto the chair and then use and misuse the power which they're given. Next, please. This is the photograph. Just go back there. This actually is the last photograph which was shot this in the series about 10 days ago. And to me, it seemed like it was, that now everyone is, since the lockdown, is gone to left the corporate offices and they've gone to the Zoom room. So this, in a way, was my expression about how the corporate world or the office spaces have become emptied out, but still being told the story being told through the kursis which I've been photographing in this particular series. Next, please. I'll just share two photographs of a long project which I've been working on, which I call Mothers and Daughters. I won't get into explanation of what it is, but because there's not enough time for me. But the reason I'm sharing this is because I've shot about 30 such families by now. Sorry, 50. The third one which I'd shot, and I'd given them the prints of that particular shoot, the mother in that particular family called me up and said, Dinesh, do you realize what you're doing? I said, well, I hope you like the photographs. She said, I don't just like the photographs. My entire family loves them. And the reason I'm calling you is that, what you've done for us is that you've created a heritage item for us. It's something which we'll treasure, is something which we've seen my mother had, my grandmother had. I didn't have because studio photography seems to have died in my generation. But I am going to be making sure that I will be keeping this framed and in a prominent place in my house. And so for me, that really is, in a way, I love classical studio portraiture. And that's the reason one of the reasons I've carried this particular project forward. Next photograph, please. And it's not just the mothers and daughters, which of course is one series, but if while I'm photographing the mothers and daughters, and if the son or the father or the husband comes along, then I also photograph them so that they can get a family portrait too. Next, please. The other thing I really love playing with is color, and color, whether it's in architecture, color, whether it's in clothes, color, whether it's in food. And collages is something which I really enjoy putting together. This is something which I've actually been commissioned to do for a hotel in Calcutta, where they wanted me to go around Calcutta and photograph the city so that they could put photographs as large prints framed in the entire hotel. So, is that art? You decide. Next one, please. This is a collage of about 50 images shot with my iPhone. Of, as you know, there are these weekly hearts which happen, around North India at least. I don't know if they happen all over the country. And I went around photographing each and every one of the shops which were there, each of the vendors and the way they displayed the way they were selling, and then made this entire collage. Uh, for me, the bazaar has always been a fascination, has been one of my obsessions for the last 30 years, and I continue to photograph that. And this was one shift away in terms of making a collage with it. All right, next please. And this is a series I've been doing since the lockdown started. It's in a way reflective for me of my mood of being cloistered at home, of not having the freedom to go out, how life has been stilled. So this is a series which I actually called Stilled Life. Fortunately, also at this time, this was, spring was going to summer and the trees were shedding the leaves and the flowers were falling off them. So I've been shooting this series of photographs. If you could just go on to the next one, please. Yes, as a photographer, finding form, etc. But it's a series called Still Life, and I continue to do that. And this is something which, again, I just love noticing things, how things just seem to fall together, no matter how random they might be. And I've been shooting this series, which I call because they look like art installations to me. So it's the color, it's the form, it's the lines. It could be an artist, who put together these elements. And I'm just, in a way, call it nature, call it man, call it the builder, call it the developer. I don't know who puts them together, but this is the way I see it. So if I'll just share 2, 3 pictures of that. Obviously a pride possession of a family at one time, but today, lying in disrepair, but still lying outside the person's house. It's not been given away. Next, please. And this is a collage again of the Still Life series, which is on show as part of the lockdown diaries at the Museo Camera. So thank you very much. That's my story, briefly. I hope I stayed within the time I
Thank
was
you
given.
very much, Dinesh. That was
Thank you.
very interesting. Thank you very much for sharing those wonderful images. It's so inspiring. Found object, street photography, studio images, uh, being converted into art images. And it's how people perceive and how actually it's your conviction that you are creating art. I think that is more important. The artist have to believe that I am creating art and this is for myself. So now we have Akash. Over to you, Akash.
Can't hear you, Akash.
Akash, unmute
Hello, can you
yourself.
hear me, Akash?
Akash, unmute yourself. There is a button.
Yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah. Is it okay now? Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'll not take too much of time because we have a short of time now. For me, there has been a little different journey altogether. I have started photography not as just photography as art photography, not as art and photography. Because for me, when I began, I remember when I was in college, my teacher told me, he gave a subject to all the students that you go and, one subject was a cow on the road. Now, the cow on the road is everywhere in India, so everybody was shooting cow on the road. So, what I did was, I went onto the street and I shot cow dung in the middle of the road, and the cow was far away and out of focus. So, teacher told me that are you joking? It is a serious subject. I said, look, everybody is shooting cow, either low angle, top angle, this angle, that angle. That's called plain photography. I want to do a little different. So I'm giving you the essence of cow by the dung, because everywhere we see cow dung. So how is it? So he said, this is actually you're creating art. And he gave me won't go into the detail. I created 3 pictures, and I got from the college, I got award on them, and he gave me the highest mark on this. That is how my journey of photography started. So now I'm an advertising photographer also. But if you see my work, then each piece, even in advertising, I try to create art in it. Now, what is art and what is photography? Photography is when you are just taking a picture. Somebody comes in front, like cataloging and things like that. Something is given to you and you want to make it just sharp, clear, and crisp. For me, I try to go a little beyond. I want to put my input and make that picture, not just take that picture. So that is my take of art photography, not art and photography. So, Payal, can you go? Yeah. Now I'm showing you this one because when in 2006, I did my second exhibition in Paris. First one is in Habitat Center in Delhi. So before the vernissage, before the opening of the thing, the gallery owners and all the directors and many celebrities came, and they threw a party prior to the exhibition. So the gallery owner first thing told me, congratulations, before opening the exhibition you have sold one picture of yours. I said, which one? He said, back of the elephant. And that is why I'm showing you the first slide. This should have been the last slide though. So after that, this was huge print, and it is like I was in Corbett, and I didn't know the rules and all that. Initial days, I jumped out of my jeep, and all these elephants who are actually towards me, they just turn around like they are they are shy of me, and I clicked this picture. So then after that, of course, I sold many prints of this as art photographies. Next one, please. This also I put because this was blasted all over in Paris as my poster actually. So Akash Da, and I worked that time only on elephants. So I got sold many prints of this. Even now I'm selling this print, and like of course limited prints. But then what happens is my prints are 15 prints, limited signed prints with certificate and each size. So I make 3 sizes. So out of which, like if it is art print, it is museum quality print. 15 prints of each size. Next one, please. This is, of course, like this is a dream shot for me, and this shows that tiger is endangered species. Tiger is not plentifully available, and if nobody comes to tiger rescue, the god is there with the light and all that, and tiger has a long way to go. And this it was published by National Geographic. Incredible India used this picture. Time magazine also carried it. And of course, I've sold many copies of this. The next one, please. Yeah, this also, in fact, in Delhi when I did in 2006 only, first exhibition, and before the exhibition would open exhibition opening was around 5:30, and this around 2 o'clock, 2, 3 foreigners came, and I said the exhibition is not open, you can't do anything here, but we want to book this print. Please sell it to us. So they booked it. They went out of Delhi. They went somewhere. After 15 days, they came back and they picked up this picture. This is like, I call it stack party. Oh, this is another one I shot in Bera. No, go back. Yeah. That's, in Bera, a lot of people are shooting nowadays. They are leopards and all that. But I was very lucky that for 3 days I was there. And what is making this art? Because somebody sent me a big message today. Some people have yesterday shot leopard in Bera, and he put this picture and their picture. They are saying how different people see. I mean, their pictures are like just, they are capturing what they are seeing, but you have created a moment actually. So I guess that is what makes it art form, rather than, I'm not documenting what is happening in front of me. I am actually trying to capture, spending hours to compose my picture. And in nature, when you are in nature when you're working with, elephants and tigers and all those things, you can't move yourself too much. You have to be static. Your camera has to be static, but they are moving. The light is given. So you have to work with those parameters. So I guess when you are actually, making that picture, what you want, composing that picture, it becomes art. Like, for example, you see over here that they are sitting in the eye. Actually, they become the eyeball of that particular rock. Next one, please. This is another very classic picture. Canon used it quite a bit. And in fact, I shot this for NDTV. For Good Times, they were doing a program on me, and I'd gone to Chhattisgarh. This was the first time I saw teak forest. There's no undergrowth in teak forest because teak eats away everything. So there are no animals. So luckily, I got this tiger coming in, and I framed it such a way. I've got a picture in the center, but you see, I have placed the tiger. I've captured it like before, not in the center. So it gives me those long pillars, and somebody is walking this thing. So my thing is, I could have gone, I had 500 mm, I had 800 mm, but I went back. I kept the environment in mind because I wanted to create a picture. So the tiger is very small in the picture. You might miss the tiger if what you call if you put your thumb over there, but the tiger still is the hero. So tiger is my hero, and I am making a picture with the environment of the tiger. Next one, please. Yeah, again, Bera shot. What is making a photograph is like they were moving around, but this frozen picture, frozen time, that his leg is hanging, and leopard is a very, very elegant animal with the texture and the tail going straight. And this is a moment. There was another very good photographer with me, and he asked me after coming back, he said, when did you shoot this picture? He was also regularly shooting with me. He also had good lenses and cameras, but then his pictures compositions were totally different. But mine was much more, composed well, basically, So the next one, please. Do I have time, or shall I close here?
You can show two more images, please.
Okay, so this is again, if you see, my endeavor is elephant is big, tigers are big, but nobody is bigger than the environment. So environment is my first concern. And if I have got good environment, if I have got jungles, if I have got nature, then the elephants, then the tigers, then the deers, then the monkeys, then the birds, everything will grow. So first thing is the environment. So all my pictures, if you see, I use environment as my base. The base of that canvas is the whole scenario. And then comes the hero. Hero is the elephant. Here it was like I in one of my initial days, these elephants were fighting for 7 days, and then one of them died. And he was buried there. I was there, and I saw many scenes happening over there with their family, because in elephant kingdom, it's one man who can actually rule one family. Family might be 20 or 50 or 60 or 10, but only one man can be there who has control of the family. So another giant grows, so they either he has to be thrown away or he has to be killed. So this is one of the shot, and this I shot in Africa. Again, you see the environment, the sky, the earth is very important. And that's it. I think time is over already.
Yeah, thank you very much, Akash.
Most welcome.
Fantastic. I mean, it really goes to show that it's not the equipment, it's the eye of the artist. It's the eye of,
Absolutely.
and that's how you interpret nature. And what is very interesting is you talked about value creation by numbered and collectible prints.
Yeah.
Thank you. We shall be
And,
discussing.
and one more thing, like since these art curators are also there, recently in January I did a show where Samar could come. Dinesh was not here. A lot of you are not here, busy and all that. So I sold about 6 prints from this exhibition. The last one also I sold actually. The elephant ones also I sold. So these are actually being sold as art prints basically.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Prabir, can we have your presentation now? Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Namaskar. I thought I was going to be last, and so I would charge out of the blocks. But
We're not going to allow you to do that.
Payal can just put on. I'll come straight to the point. Unlike the rest of my very esteemed colleagues on this panel, I'm not a commercial photographer. I photograph for myself. I do personal work, and then I exhibit. And unlike Akash, if it sells, fine. Otherwise, I carry on with the personal work. So for me, I probably am the voice of the common man out there today. And hopefully, what I will rush through will be like a light, maybe, to help them navigate this darkness which has sort of descended upon us because of Corona. Could we have the first slide, please? Yeah. No longer can we say this is business as usual. I think the dynamics have changed completely and are changing rapidly. Every day we see that more and more people are being put out of work or jobs. I'm talking of photography now. I'm talking about photography. So about 6 years ago, I had a show in New York, and a dear friend of mine, the gallery owner, Sundaram Tagore, he told me, he said that, Prabir, the days of brick and mortar galleries are fast fading. And you will have to do 2 things. A, you will have to start engaging online more intensely and more strategically. And the second thing is you'll have to make a brand. You'll have to become a brand if you want to exist. This whole presentation that I put together is really addressing the aspect of becoming a brand in today's day and age, especially with the environment being so hostile as it is. What I did is I divided my work, which was otherwise very omnipresent and it was all over. I consciously divided my work into 2 halves. My photojournalistic work, which are long-term projects, became my narrative, for which a certain approach is required. And my immediate work, which is of one-off images or a group of images meant without a narrative, became my wall art, which is where I concentrate because that's more immediate and that's what helps me sell. Now, in the case of both these bodies of work, the art and craft skills are very demanding. They are different and very demanding, and unless and until one is well versed in them, the chances are that you may fall by the roadside. So next, just to elaborate the point, my narratives, which are my photojournalistic work, are cinematically produced. At the end of the day, I think all of us photographers are silent movie producers. We produce that, like silent movie. At least I do for my long-term projects. So I want to bring the cinematic experience to the buyer or to the viewer. And in this respect, I am addressing both local and global issues through my photo essays. Next one. Local, when I say local, I'm talking about like environmental, the environmental disaster that surrounds us is not going to go away. It's just getting from bad to worse. This is a photo essay of work that has been done over, I think, about 7-8 years, where a water body, like many water bodies in this country and in this world, is disappearing. Next one, please. So this type of work required a certain construct, a narrative that required a certain rhythm, and the journey of the camera had to be orchestrated with. So it's not just go there, shoot, hope for the best. It's a very detailed, thought out type of work. Next one, please. Next slide. Coming to my global issues, I'm concentrating on depression. As you know, recently with this coronavirus, COVID thing, depression and mental problems and emotional problems are on the rise. As a matter of fact, according to studies, international studies, depression will be a major killer in the years to come. And in my own way, because I had the opportunity, it's work in progress. And I am doing, this is my narrative, my photojournalistic work, where I am concentrating on depression of elderly people who are isolated and are left in their, next one, please. I call it Isle of Exiles. Next one. These are elderly senior citizens left to perish, left to fade away in their old homes. And the story is very, very dark, but won't dwell on this. Just to give you an idea of the type of, next one, of the type of mood, of the type of pathos and the feeling that needs to be brought in to an image to communicate that. This was on aspect of narratives. Now coming to wall art. Yes, please, go right ahead. In search of images that strike a unique moment. Now, this is where I just want to emphasize that the brand building that Sundaram was talking about, and we discussed at length, yes, it did start with the journalistic work and my work on Ladakh, which was what was shown in New York. But it is over the last 2 years that my wall art really is helping me build a brand for myself. The whole essence of this brand building is to be unique. In today's day and age, if you are a brand without a unique offering, you're lost. So my work now is concentrated in building a visual signature, which is going to be unique to a point where people can actually identify. And I'm not saying anything very different. If you take photographers like Nick Brandt, if you take Michael Kenner, Sebastião Salgado, and they're all brands. And to an extent where you can see a Nick Brandt work today and say, this is Nick's work. So it's essential, for me at least, to get niched, to become a brand and be niched and be known for that. God willing, inshallah, the work will sell. Next one, please. It's an art of designing and constructing photographs for such times as this. It's not easy. As a matter of fact, both my efforts, whether it is with the narratives or whether with the wall art, I shoot alone. I have no team, I have no assistants, nothing. I shoot entirely by myself. Two exceptions made, one with Aditya and Parthiv when we were sent to Jerusalem to shoot. I shot with them. It was a wonderful experience. And years ago, Prabhudo, the late Prabhudo Das Gupta, a dear friend, he and I spent considerable time in Ladakh when we were shooting for our respective books. Otherwise, I'm on my own. And that allows me to go into that mental state where I can start focusing and developing on the work I'm doing. Could we have the next slide? This is really the work that, unlike others, I have funnel vision. Not tunnel, funnel vision. At one end, I see the spectrum, the vastness. And at the other end, I see the minute, the grain of sand. I bring that funnel vision to the work that I'm creating now. Next one, please. These are pictures which have been shot exclusively in Ladakh. As you know, Ladakh is my forte, and I spend my time in winter shooting them and evolving my work. It's immersive and it's evolutionary. It has long passed mountains and rivers and canyons and deserts. It's now become more immersive and it's become more macro. Next one, please. As you can see, the work that I'm showing, a few of them, is really to get that signature that I was talking about, a visual signature, a distinct uniqueness. Next one, please. And I especially shoot in winter. I go to areas where no one's been, or no one can, or no one would want to, because it's like a death wish. But that's where, that's how I roll. That's my trip. And it's out there that I assume another avatar and I can see what I want to see. The mind opens up. And it helps me in evolving the type of work that I am doing. Next one, please. Yeah. All this is winter shot, all during, really cold weather. And it's not just taking the camera and going. This particular image, very quickly I'll tell you, I climbed a mountain, 4 a.m, put glass panes, let it frost, almost froze to death, frostbite, blah, blah, blah. And finally, the picture. So it is a labor of love, sure, but it is almost physically killing too. Next one. Don't try it. Don't leave home for this. It's, as I said, the uniqueness of being unique extends all over, the spectrum of vision and of creativity in this funnel vision is not just to what I've shown, but it also transcends what is obvious. And therefore, there's a lot of work that I have put together, which I then work on to create conceptual work. Please, next one. And this conceptual work begins with a vision, begins with an idea, you pre-visualize it, and then you go out. This was shot in a place called Bonneville in the United States because it's a salt flat where world land records are held. And I went there, imagined the speed of the vehicles, and it was all a part of a certain concept called Timeline that I'm working on, that I put together. So it is not just naturalness or portraits or wildlife or fine art. It expands into the conceptual realm, which I think is going to be a major segment in the years to come. Next one. A lot of still life, as I love doing this. We saw some wonderful work of Dinesh's on still life. This is my work with, again, juxtaposed with life. It's conceptual, It's juxtaposed. This is work that I'm doing where these are elements which represent deprived children, children who are homeless or are hunted or are refugees. So this work is juxtaposed with them. Next one. And as I said, the conceptual work is where the final boundary is for me. For me. Next one, I'll show you what I mean. I am taking work that I shoot and I post-process, I work on it until I get a certain format or a certain look, which is what I want from that original body of work. Another one, please. Yeah. So even conceptually, the ideas are not confined to one sphere of creativity. It extends, and it's fascinating with the tools and the technology and the software that we have today. I think this is going to be a new frontier in the years to come for people. Now, I'm going to end this with no more, doom and gloom, but with a nice anecdote, which is reflective, very reflective and insightful of the times we are living. We can plan. Oops. Can you go back? Is the end? Yeah. Just 2 more slides. We can plan as much as you want in today's day. It's like I talk to God, but the sky is empty. What happens? You need a plan A, you need a plan B. Very quickly, why I say this and why is it reflective? Many, many years ago, next one, please. Prabhudo and I traveled to where we are having a problem now with China. At that time, it was absolutely free. You could travel. We knew people in ISBD. My father was in the army. He knew someone in ITBP. So we got together and we traveled into the Changtang, deep into the Changtang, okay? Wilderness, cut off from civilization, no contact with humans for 8-9 days. Coming back to Leh, we stopped on the way to have a meal. We were very hungry. We hadn't eaten for quite some time. And the driver, Anshok, our driver, our cook, our guide, and our dear friend, he said, he told Prabhudo, Sir ji, एक बढ़िया यहाँ होटल है, ढाबा है. We said, चलो, क्यों क्या? We said, Maggie मिलेगा. Maggie is Maggie. And he said to Prabhudo, because Prabhudo was the leader of the expedition, and he said, और वहाँ जो मैडम है जो खाना बनाती है बहुत सुंदर है. And both of us said, step on it, man. Let's go. So we went to this dhaba on the side of the road. Prabhudo I saw, man, we have had no contact with humans for the last 8 days. Forget anything else. And there was this, absolutely stunning Ladakhi, beautiful woman. And Prabhudo said, I need to take a picture. I need to do portraits. So Anshuk asked, and she refused. She was very shy. So Prabhudo said, don't worry. I said, Prabhudo, let's just eat and go. He said, don't worry, I've got the picture. So he tells Anshuk, the driver, he gives him the camera and he says, you wait. We will ask her to serve from the window. And the moment she leans out to serve us on the table outside, you take the picture. And we've got our portrait. Absolutely, sir. There was no digital that time, it's film. Fine. He did that. We were so thrilled, and both Prabhudo and I felt, it was as if we were suddenly born again, seeing a beautiful woman out there in the middle of mist of nowhere. We were happy, came back to Delhi, processed it. And next picture. Anshuk took the picture after she went in, and we got the dog. That's all. We got the dog. So the moral of the story is, you can plan and you can strategize, but you have to have a plan B. Next one. Next slide, please. Yeah. We have to be prepared for changes. We can predict, obviously, that we can crystal ball gaze and predict accurately. And yet we have to be flexible to the ones that we can't, because that's where we are going to trip. And I hope that this pandemic gets over fast and everyone finally finds their feet and has a great time. Stay safe and be happy. Thank you. Thank you.
Looks like we lost Aditya, but he'll be back soon with us.
We have lost so much more. Everyone's gone. No.
No, no, no. There are 154 people right now watching, and I can see 720 thumbs up coming. Since Aditya is not there, who was the next one? I mean, announced in the. I know Bhavna is last to speak, but maybe Rafique, you would like to take on? You have to unmute your mic, and I'll unmute yourself once. There is on the right hand side, there is a bar which says mic on and mic off. On the screen only where you are watching it, on the right hand side, there is a mic on option.
Okay, thank you very much, Prabir. There was a little glitch at my end all of a sudden. Thank you. It was wonderful hearing you about brand and concepts and your travel stories. And thank you for reminding me about the trip to Jerusalem.
Yeah, nice time we had.
Yes, thank you very much. And now we have Samar. Unmute yourself.
Mic on.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All good? Can you hear? Okay. All right. Well, what is this art, photography, artists becoming photographers becoming musicians, musicians becoming surgeons? I mean, today disruptiveness has kind of taken away all those walls, and we are just trying to be everything. And so what I want to talk about is more about what you share. Now anything, whether you use a camera or a brush or a musical instrument, it's really about expressing and who you want to express to. Do you want to express it to yourself first? Or you want to talk to people out there who are your audiences are. What I'm going to run through is because time is really really short. 5 minutes. So I'm just going to run through 5 images which will kind of give some idea where I'm coming from. I basically started from a commercial photography, advertising, lots of books, fashion, blah, blah, all that stuff. And there came a point where I started, kind of realizing that, it's good for my bank balance, but somehow ad business for me had really brilliant challenges, which was the highlight of it. But then it also kind of disappeared after the next morning once the paper was gone. So I decided to corporatize myself and start doing things which would get me, enough money so I could go and do myself whatever else I wanted to work on. So here's first image, which is Burj Khalifa. I set up a small company in Dubai, a corporate communication, film photography, and conceptualized this entire documentation over 6 years. So this is, these are some, this is one image representing what we did. This is from top of the tower looking down. What you have is 830 odd meters below you. Next, please. So what it did was it kind of gave me space to go and do things which I really wanted to work on. So this is, I went on the World War II road from Kunming. I came into Burma and into India, and I came into this community. It was disappearing. About 1,500 of them left. So I got involved. It wasn't pulling out my camera and just, doing more. Looking at, you want your audience to experience it. Now, how do you do that? I just believe that today, with so much of digital noise, things are getting, it's just getting so noisy and so difficult to get your message out there. And I think it's a lot to do with what you are actually serving, what kind of experience you want people to have. This is Outpost. Again, this is Habitat. I used to do a lot of hotels and spas all across the world. And suddenly I was in Northeast and I found these really brilliant houses. So now we are here at Bhopal. As we all know what this issue was, I thought, why not give an experience to people rather than just doing pictures? And I'm no good at disaster pornography. I don't have the skills or the understanding of making those. And some people have done some really great pictures out there, especially Bhopal itself. So this was a train journey. What was happening that night? So we got a 40-foot container and we custom built this. Bhopal used to be much colder at that time. So as you walk through this container, it's a single-degree temperature. There's a sound piece. And there are 3D images inside of the plant, not on the people, but where the storage and the machines were. And what we did to make the experience even more uneasy for people to walk through, on the opposite side, we got about 25 mannequins and stretched black fabric with hundreds of names, people who died that night. So the whole idea about this container was to travel it. We took it to London Olympics because Dow Chemical, which owns Union Carbide, were the sponsors, and we decided with Amnesty International to showcase it there. So this container has done, it's done over 350,000 people have walked through it. There's a digital counter in there. And I just feel that, what does your art really do? Does it go into a larger public domain, or is it going to just end up as a spine of a book, which even I, at one point of time, I was doing. Next, please. So coming back to this is what I really have finally come to is, in the last 25 odd years, I've been teaching photography to kids in conflict areas. So whether it's here in Delhi, working with Bangladeshi rag pickers, Colony's kids, or whether it's working in Afghanistan or working in East Africa with albino children, this is something which is where I really see my practice is about, sharing my experience with children. And I'm not trying to make anybody a photographer, but it's more of an empowerment exercise. And which brings me to what I really do now is I work on something called Red Balloon, which is a collaborative effort where I work with various artists, all kinds of people from creative spaces. And we basically work with children, privileged, underprivileged, all kinds of rural, urban, whatever. And the whole idea is about let children be, the creative kids who can express that, whatever that issue which bothers them. And, it's time to get out of my own echo chamber. Okay, I did this, I got this award, I did blah, blah, whatever. But I really seriously feel that, if you want to really share your journey, put it to young people, because they are the ones who are going to carry that message forward, and nothing to do, again, as I said, whatever may the tool be, what you're doing is you're developing the voice, the language. And that's really the focus, what I do. So 5 minutes, thank you.
You can catch your breath now, Samar.
Aditya gone somewhere?
Yeah, he must be coming. I know that it's Rafique's turn. So I'll just go and at least prepare my presentation, which Rafique will be showing. You are again unmute.
Unmute.
Hello? You can hear me?
Rafique, which one will you want to show first? There are two PDFs which you have sent it to me. One is images and one is model shots. You got unmuted again. Just press that button. Aditya is back. Oopsie, oopsie. Hi, Rafique.
No,
Can you
you
hear
can
us?
hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can. We can hear
Yeah,
you. So
I can hear you. But no.
there are two
The
PDFs
second
which you
one you
want.
start.
Okay, the model shots.
I don't want to say the second one. Yeah, just I don't want to say anything much about my photography or anything. I see, I feel, and I shoot pictures. Nothing more than that. And I don't invent pictures. I discover them. So that's the one thing. I think when you people talk about the art and photography and everything, I feel that ये चीजें हैं जो आर्ट है जब आप पहुंचते हैं उस पर तो दुनिया छूट जाती है आपसे ये होना चाहिए आपके मेरे हिसाब से आप पिक्चर दिखा सकती हैं मैं उस पर बोलना चाहूँ तो बोलूँ पता नहीं लेकिन आप पिक्चर दिखा दें यू कैन हियर मी
Yes.
ओके मैं
Hello.
आप तस्वीरें आप जो होती हैं वो फोटोग्राफर से ज्यादा ज्यादा देखने वाला you should feel it much more than the photographer because everybody has a story and the person who is watching it or seeing it or feeling it has a much more to feel about it.
I don't know. Everyone is there.
You can hear me.
But are you still out?
You
I'm
can.
gonna call you. I think I have to take care of Rafique's presentation.
Can you hear me?
रफीक वी कैन
Yeah.
हियर यू
Okay.
आपकी
तो
आवाज आ रही है
अच्छा देख लीजिए आप जो भी मैं दिखाना चाहता हूँ मैंने कहा कि मुझे आर्ट में फोटोग्राफी में चंद सालों में कोई फर्क नजर नहीं आता है मैंने कहा कि आपको आर्ट क्रिएट करना है तो दुनिया छोड़नी पड़ेगी वो हिसाब से मैं जब आपकी सब लोगों की तस्वीरें देखता हूँ तो मुझे फर्क ज्यादा वाजह होता है कि वो आर्टिस्ट जो भी है वो दुनिया से अलग होकर अपनी तस्वीरें निकालता है
Give me 1 second. I'm just changing the PDF. Those were the only images which were there in the. Yeah. Can you see the images now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see the images. This
Okay.
is a commissioned work I did for my book, Ways of Water. And it is a story of water. I just wanted to do different than go to the sea and the river and everything. And I just अपनी निशानी छोड़ जाते हैं उसमें पोइट्री भी शामिल होती है नेक्स्ट मैं इस हद तक ज़्यादा समझता हूँ कि I think we should concentrate on photo art. That is the most important thing. The photography of the advertising. ये पूरी सीरीज है मैंने वेज ऑफ वाटर के लिए शूट की है. नेक्स्ट. 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 मैंने लद्दाख पे भी बहुत शूट किया है मैंने लद्दाख, लेकिन आप लोगों ने इतना काम दिखाया लद्दाख के बारे में मैं कोई जिक्र नहीं कर सकता हूँ.
So these were the only photographs you had shared with me. So
Okay.
and now I'll present it off, and maybe then you can talk about the work and your experiences.
Thank you very much, Rafique ji. That was very interesting. Sorry, I couldn't introduce you and interact with you and Samar when he was ending. But this is very truly inspiring. Please talk about your work for a little while.
What can I talk about my work? I think a few people should be better to judge my work than I talk about my work. I I I believe in. I think that personal work is more important than anything else. Just I don't differentiate between the commission work and personal work, because I take most of the work which is interesting to me, and then I do it. Uh, या बहुत हो गया.
Thank you, Rafique ji. Thank you, thank you. And
Yeah, thank you very much.
so now we
I think
Bhavna, finally we have you. So, your take on art and photography as a gallerist, as an editor, as an artist. What do you think? Where do you think we are going with it? And I mean, there are so many issues about it. So, over to you, Bhavna.
Okay, I'm a little overwhelmed by all this amazing work. And am I audible? Because I'm kind of
Yes,
frozen on screen. Am I
I
audible to
can.
everyone? Yeah. So
Yes.
I've actually lost the original presentation I made because I've misplaced my laptop. But Payal, can you just share some the PPT that I sent? If you could just play that in the backdrop. I'm not going to be stopping at every image, but just talk in general. Like Aditya said, there are so many issues, and I speak from the point of view that I come as a gallerist or a curator, and I'm on the other side of the spectrum where you guys are producing this amazing work, and it's kind of our a gallerist or dealer's role to be able to exhibit, promote that. And in India, yes, it is. I mean, globally, also, the field of photography has had to fight really, really tough battles in terms of its positioning and in terms of the market role that it plays. Interestingly, to like the last 2 years have been really good for photography, where it saw a little bit of dip in between, whereas in 2010, 12, am I going too fast? Sorry. And yeah, okay. And can we just see the slides
Yeah,
also?
I am playing them. I can see it.
Okay, you can see it. How do I see it? Sorry.
Can Yeah,
Stage? Yeah, no. Okay.
there we are.
Yeah, okay. So some of them I'm just sharing some. I mean, like I said, I've misplaced the original one, and this has just been made. So some key examples of photographs that are sold internationally. So I would say there are the issues in India with photography and establishing it as art.
Sorry, I can't see any slides.
Uh, there is one.
I can see.
I
I
think there's
can
one.
see.
Just go keep moving them, pile. That's okay. So
Meenakshi,
there,
I can't see anything on my com.
uh,
So try double clicking on my image.
I'm seeing the presentation.
We can also see. I'm also logged in as a visitor from somewhere. I can see it.
I can't. Can Dinesh, Akash see the presentation?
I can see the presentation list of most expensive
Yeah, I
I'll,
photographs.
can see the presentation.
I'll
Okay, all right.
keep
Sorry,
showing.
I can't see it.
I
Uh,
can see it very well.
uh,
Wow.
there
So
are
let's hear Bhavna.
myths and I feel skepticism around buying photography. One of the key issues that I was discussing with Aditya and which has been discussed over and over is the multiplicity of images. There is a certain resistance which collectors do have, which is for printmaking as well as photography, that there is there are multiples of it. We want something unique, and for them in their mind, unique and artistic is always been painting or sculpture. In India anyways, we are way behind in terms of art collecting or collecting, though we've been always been patrons of the fine arts, but there has been a huge lapse, and we are like way behind other, US or Europe, where collecting is a part of, luxury or assets or. Photography falls in some of their budget, because it's kind of more accessible. The entry point is lesser. The work that some of the younger artists who are using photography as a can, can we move this further? Okay, have been using next and next and next and next, yeah, which is which is stage photography or out of the box, like something like Summer showed, which is not necessarily just a two-dimensional photograph, where people are using photography and digital, is kind of something which is interesting a lot of younger collectors to be able to collect that, where they're not so stuck on the multiplicity. Is a problem world over, about editions, about sizes. Uh, there have been cases where people have said that edition is sold out and the whole estate is sold, and then you find out that there is, a whole bunch of negatives still lying, which have been discovered later when the artist has died. So all of these things, I feel, deter, and and when people feel that is this as good an investment as any. It deters them to buy it. I can't hear myself.
No, no, we can hear you. We
Uh,
can hear you, Bhavna.
okay, it's okay. Yeah. Another thing is the sense of urgency where I feel, especially at art fairs, that which I discussed with many of my other gallerist friends, show photography, there's wonderful photoing, the sense of urgency because of the of the artwork, which is changed in a while because the number, the edition, for especially for artists doing photography, there are a lot of the artists, painters who are into photography, and the of course the art photographers, as we term it, which I find quite amusing, the photography and the art photography terms, which yeah, kind of are the art market, and how photo fairs have brought the market of photography, in the foreground. And yeah, so I would actually like to have a little chat with Aditya on some of these issues rather than this monologue on the market of photography and what drives it. Aditya, would you like to kind of
So,
say
I would invite
something?
Dinesh,
Chat
Prabir.
this. Also, the last two slides were the issue of take on photography. We brought out two issues which were by Dr. Alka Pandey,
That
and
was a lovely issue. I must congratulate.
insight into the field of documentary, fashion, landscape, and various kinds
Observed. It was very important because very little work is being done on art and photography. So I would like to throw it open to Prabir, to Dinesh, to Akash, Samar, and Rafique to take this forward, and let's open the discussion on this.
If I may just get started, start the ball rolling. Uh, what Bhavna just said, I think, is the truth that photography in India is way down in the ladder. Been able to I don't know if this is the experience of the other panelists, but this is my own experience, so I can only talk for myself. I mean, here I have always been approached to sell
told us we can say anything. I specifically asked him.
Sure, please go
I
ahead.
think the other aspect is that I don't see any very insightful critiquing of photography. his style, into the way he's working vis-a-vis others is so interesting. It's so enlightening and educative compared to what I read here. Here, there is no reference. It's like you are a frog in a well. So,
I totally agree with that because, as I was discussing with you in the morning, that there are no art critics, there are no photography art critics. No, you don't know what is good or bad. That's why buyers are very, very skeptical because they do not know who is good, who is bad.
Yes.
And I totally agree with Prabir. I have done already 6 exhibitions in India and about 10 exhibitions abroad, where in Paris, Hamburg, all that. When it comes to buying, obviously how much discount am I getting? That is our, you can't change that because that is from the childhood. You have been told that everything is, you buy it only if it is on discount. When they go to buy a Porsche, and they say, tell the dealer, मेरे को discount कितना मिलेगा इसके ऊपर. So obviously you can't change that whether they are buying painting or they are buying any art piece of a photographer. So the experience, but I would say my experience in India doing exhibition has been fabulous. People appreciate, people talk about it, people write about it. But yes, selling is a big problem. And generally,
That is kind of detriment for galleries to be able to promote photography. It's
yeah.
because everybody thinks that the artist is accessible. I
See,
don't think
people believe in gallerists, so
telling
they will ask you, "Ki, is it photographer going to be, lasting long? Is he doing a consistently good work or not?" But if there's no one to tell them, so they'll not buy.
Yeah,
so.
what I wanted
So I
to add was that and Bhavna is a perfect person on this panel. That selling art itself is such a big battle. She runs a
yeah.
magazine, she runs a gallery, and she runs all over the world trying to be in this business. Because you need the commerce with it, because you just can't do it because you have the passion for it. And photography, unfortunately, it's something which, in the West, people have been collecting pictures for over 100 years. This is such a new medium out here. And, let me not be too harsh about it, but I'll tell you my brutality, I would say, is that,